corporate crimes. They're still part of our financial crimes series. And Mr. Charles says he wants to start off with a short story.
Well, yeah, that's true. It is still investors' education. If you're just tuning in, it's still about it's Broad Street Radio. Yes, if you have been following us, we've been talking about EFCC, financial crime, and we've all agreed and we have seen the need that fighting financial crime is everybody's business. It's not only for EFCC or ICPC. And if you look at the EFCC document, you'll see that the type of crime they're expected to be fighting, they said money laundering, securities fraud, pension, and even housing scheme fraud. But we're not seeing much of that. But I know in this series, we're going to take you through some of these processes. Then, another major crime they should be fighting again is cyber crime, electronic and internet fraud. We will give them kudos for that because we have seen that they've done quite a lot. But I want them to go back to their first principle, which is prevention. How do we prevent? Not being reactive. It's only when the fraudsters have committed. Why can't this be intercepted? I think that is what we'll be talking about when we begin to look at cyber crime, electronic crime, and internet fraud. How do we prevent? How do we nip it at the bud, to use that word? And I was also impressed with the chairman of the commission when he went to one government agency, I won't mention the agency, and he was talking to them about ethical principles, transparency. So that is also part of prevention. You create that awareness, you enlighten the people. It is not only you wait, where commit the crime, then we now call. No, that strategy does not work. And I think they need to look at their curriculum in that regard. In fact, their strategic plan, 5 years, 2021, 2025, they said prevention is number one. Okay, so they are also looking at governance, crime, and grand corruption. We don't even look at that one. Grand corruption, of course, civil servants who use their position, to collect money and they don't execute a project, or you are in charge of a certain ministry, you have access to the funds, you make use of the money. So I will just tell a short story quickly on that, what I call grand corruption. It's grand corruption, They say this involves higher ranking government officials and elected officials who exploit opportunities that are presented through government work. Now, this particular story, well, let me say still allegedly, that a particular civil servant in a certain ministry, they say laundered over, what's the figure there?
7 billion.
7 billion naira
Of the ministry's funds in the last
9 months.
Using
bank account numbers
of ministry staff members.
They say he or she or is it? Okay, let's say
he also paid, we are not mentioning names.
Okay, he also paid
over 100 million
to a certain government agency.
To a certain anti-financial crime agency.
Okay.
Telling them to back off.
To back off. Kind of bribing them now. Okay. So you can see bribing them. Okay. That is very, very strange. At this time, we are talking of fighting financial crime. So, okay. Now, that is just what we have. Again, in the news, you also, before I go straight to our topic of today, in the news again today, we have seen that a certain socialite, influencer, am I correct?
Is it an influencer?
Okay, but it's a socialite.
It's a socialite and a business.
And a businessman. Of course, all over the place. We need to even mention the name. Obi Kubana was invited by the Anti-Corruption Agency, EFCC to be precise. They said he was invited, not arrested. So please, that is why we on a Broad Street Radio, we want to give our listeners the facts, the correct story, because that is how we have been trained. Practice journalism and broadcasting. You have some ethics. So he was invited, which is a normal thing. The anti-graft agency can invite. I've been invited today several times to clarify issues. And of course, when you clarify the issues, the operators, the investigators, it's just an interview. It's not interrogation. Like different things.
But are you sure he's not being interrogated, because he has been there since yesterday?
Well, that is what we are saying. But I'm telling you, if after they invited you and you are there, you discuss with them, you ask all the questions, do all the things you ask, it can be as late as 10, 11. They ask you to go, because they know they can't just detain you. If there is nothing that they have, they can't just detain you. Highest, you pull a bail bond. Yes, and somebody will sign. Of course, the only time maybe they won't allow you to leave, maybe the person that you have brought to come and bail you, maybe is not of the standard. Because there are certain requirements you have to. You're a civil servant of a certain grade, level, or okay, thereabout. If you are like us in the capital market, you must be a senior stockbroker or the MD of your firm and all that. So if you are not able to bring somebody that meets those little conditions, of course they will grant you administrative bail and you go. They give you another date to come again. So it is nothing. He was invited. It could be a person of interest for a money laundering and tax issue. So the media should stop using that word that he was arrested.
Sensational.
He was not arrested. He was invited, and he had just gone to, meet up that invitation. So that is for Obi Cubana, but you can see they say money laundering and a tax issue. Then for that permanent secretary in that ministry, that one is what I call grand corruption. That is grand corruption.
This particular Obi Cubana's case, it reminds me a lot of some celebrities, foreign celebrities.
Okay.
In other crimes, they don't joke with tax evasion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not like here that people manipulate their way. And it shows that most times, celebrities and some of these big businessmen who most times do not oversee their own finances and all that, they don't have the right people
Exactly.
to help them file some of these things.
Their tax returns.
Like they don't have proper checks.
Accounting.
Yes, to know, have you done this? Have you done that?
Exactly.
So it may even be that their staff is doing shady deals and they wouldn't know.
Exactly.
And it will not fall back on you.
Of course, you are the entrepreneur. You are the business person. So I'm sure, anyway, not even speaking for Obiku, but I think that is what must have happened. Because our people, I don't know why we are so afraid of tax. It's a very simple thing. Just even your accountant can do it. Or if you don't even have an accountant who is skilled enough, you can even invite any of the tax officials. They will come explain to you how to do your...
do this.
Exactly. And you just like somebody said, investigation is different from auditing. If you invite me as an accountant to come and do audit, I will do audit. But in the course of my audit work, I might begin to see some discrepancy. But some will just tell you, well, you didn't invite me to come and do that.
Some will decide to look away.
Look away. So, but I think most Nigerian businessmen, whether it's a small business, established business, you should be very familiar with your tax returns. Get the tax experts to come, even on a quarterly basis, and look at what you are doing and file a proper tax return for you. Because you see that even the people who are even doing informal businesses, most of them say they don't even know how to assess themselves. So by the time they are now well established, you would not say they are not paying tax. They have evaded tax. So I think the tax authorities, but they have done quite a lot. I've seen them coming to companies explaining, You know, even one-man business, they even explain to you, this is your small hustle you are doing. This is the tax, you know, and very reasonable. And of course, because we need to increase the tax net so that we will run this economy with tax. But again, people don't pay tax because they don't see what the money is being used for. But if I see what the money is being used for, then I'll be encouraged to pay. So that is for Obi Kubana, and of course, that permanent secretary. Please, we are advising all the relevant agencies to ensure that that allegedly story of a certain ministry, please go and check it up and see how that can be stopped. Okay, so today we are talking about corporate criminals, corporate crime. Let me use the word because that's also one of the mandate of EFCC, governance and grant corruption. They are to fight against it. So, corporate criminals. They are saying, can the company commit a crime? A company?
Yes.
And can the company be jailed?
Ah.
Because it's an artificial person.
Of course, there's someone running or managing the company.
Okay.
The company does not run itself.
Okay. Yes, a company can commit a crime, you know, and because if you advertise and there's false claims in your advertising, that's a corporate crime. It's a corporate crime. And if you falsify your books for regulators, it's a corporate crime, you know. Then, of course, if you do certain things and you, out of negligence, your activities destroy the environment, it's a corporate crime. If you are supposed to have certain instrument or equipment that is supposed to recycle certain waste that you generate and you don't do that, it's a corporate crime. You know, now we are talking about is it climate change, COP26, that is currently going on in Glasgow, Scotland. Of course, our president is there, and we believe that he's going to come with a lot of goodies. I just wish I would buy some biscuits while he's in Nigeria when he's coming back. Or some candy or chocolate. Yeah, president, please don't forget, we need some chocolates. Okay, so corporate criminals. While the term corporate crime does not conjure up the disturbingly threatening image of a man being robbed at gunpoint, the truth is that society loses more from corporate criminals than street criminals this year. Do you agree with that?
Of course.
But most people don't see a company that is operating in their vicinity committing any crime now.
You don't need to see it. It's all in the paperwork. I remember a friend of mine, there was this foreign blogs. Nigeria was celebrating its independence, so they were wishing us happy independence and all. Okay. And someone said, "Oh, a country riddled with so much poverty, this and that." And I saw Africans in the comment section firing back. That have you ever been to Nigeria before to see how people are living? Fine, there are poor people, but in fact, there are people who can even make ends meet more than your so-called free nation.
I agree with you. That is true.
Let me not go too deep.
That is true.
So let me not go too deep. That you say they are so too corrupt. That their own corruption is all covered up with paperwork.
So that we can have an organization operating in an environment, and that organization is committing crime, maybe damaging the environment, and not even giving the workers there the proper safety equipment. We've seen cases where factory workers, factory injuries because proper safety equipment were not being used. So all these are corporate crime. So corporate crime isn't just about the billions of dollars that are swindled and stolen, but also the many deaths and illnesses which are result of poor, unsafe working conditions. In fact, an international investigating bureau has reported that around 19,000 people, that's in the US, are murdered each year. But they do not mention the 56,000 Americans who die on the job, and also some Nigerians too. who died on the job. We had a case from Ibadan sometime, a young man who died in a factory.
Not just Ibadan, even Lagos here.
Of course.
I've heard of a particular factory around Ilupeju where their staff, they don't use safety gear, nothing. And when they suffer some cuts, they just send them somewhere, and that's it.
And people die from that, you know. So, most of these accidents and deaths could have been prevented, you know, if these corporate leaders were forced to put safety of their employees before cutting costs and turning profits. You know, I don't want to be personal, but I want to mention the Nigerian bank. During that COVID, you know, you were donating money to a COVID fund, and at the same time, you are limiting the number of your staff that you want to lay off. And for me,
such a very crucial time.
It was all over social media. So, okay, why are you donating so much money? Then, the welfare of your workers, you're telling you want to lay over 40% of them. You know, so I find that being hypocritical, you know, because you want to cut costs and so that you make profit. But at the same time, you are trying to do a social service at the detriment of your workers. No, the workers are also part of the stakeholder, just as the society and the government. So the lack of accountability has led to a rise of corporate criminals as far back as the Industrial Revolution. While corporate criminals may not think their actions are hurting anyone besides the few executives, in truth, their doggy profit hurts all consumers all over the world. When corporations lose money because of corporate crime, the burden is passed along to Nigerians, to Americans, to every other person through the increased cost of products and goods sold. Now, what is this corporate crime that we are talking about? Corporate crime, sometimes referred to as white-collar crime. At times I used to ask myself, why is it white-collar crime?
I don't know.
They even say there are some that is black-collar crime. There is grey-collar crime, you know. There's one particular one, they say crime committed by men of God. You know, it's like, maybe that one is black-collar crime. But this one white-collar crime, maybe in corporate organization, you know, you have most people putting on a dark suit and a white shirt. Maybe that's why it's called white collar. Because most of their colors will be white. I don't know. I'm just looking at it. You know, referred to as white collar crime was defined in 1939 by criminologists, you know, Edwin Sutherland, as a crime committed by a person of respectability and high social status in the course of his occupation. In the course of his occupation. Common examples of such crimes include, let's take them one by one. Hey, the person has respect, so is a professional in his occupation. That means he or she knows what they are doing. They could be an accountant, they could be a stockbroker, they could be a banker, they could be any professional. Some of these crimes, we are told, are what? Falsifying information on financial statements. We have seen that most of the time. Those of us who are in the capital markets, we have seen what issuers will come and tell you, but what you see on ground, of course, will be different. Manipulating the stock markets. Yes, we have that kind of cases in Nigeria here. We've seen it. Bribery. Yes, you bribe regulators, you bribe government officials. Bribery of public officials. Maybe you are supposed to have safety equipment because you want to cut costs. You bribe public officials when they come for inspection. False claims in advertising. You have a product. In fact, Ponzi scheme comes under there. They advertise that they will give you, is it 10%?
70% return on investment within 3 weeks.
Within 3 weeks. And you know the funny thing, they even go to the media to advertise.
Yes, and this was waiting consigned there.
No, but of course, I looked at it critically and said, no, the radio station, just like Broad Street Radio here now, and the TV houses, they are just there for their business too.
It's not even just TV houses. So most times these days, they use comedians, influencers, and they know that those ones, the word will get out there super fast.
And people
faster
will
than
believe
radio,
them.
TV.
I
Because
see.
radio, you know, it will still go through some processes
Yes.
before they start
They
airing
will,
it.
start airing
Or
it,
they just go straight to the comedian that
Influencer.
posts every 5 minutes
Wow.
or every 10 minutes and pay them. And those ones, they don't care to verify anything. They just go ahead and endorse it.
That is an issue now. PRO, public communication. If you endorse a product and it turns out that that product does not do what it claims in advertising, you as the, what do you call them now, the influencer?
Yes, the influencer.
Do you have any liability?
The thing is, in saner climes,
Yeah.
people usually sue those influencers.
Oh, not even the company.
They sue them.
Okay.
Like, for example, there was this festival in the US, they call it Fire Festival,
Okay.
where just like there's another one, they call it Coachella. So they try to imitate Coachella,
Okay.
where young people, they pay for this festival. I think it's like a week or two. They go to the desert, they have
Okay.
tents,
Okay.
and you know,
Okay.
things like that.
Kind of a
But this
campaign.
one was short of, in fact, after paying, people got there and were like, is this it? And a lot of them had to leave, and most of them went because celebrities endorsed it. So when some of them sued and the IRS was on the tail of the organizers, the organizer even went to jail.
You see?
There was even an American rapper that was also part of it, but I don't know how it
But
managed.
let's look at it here in Nigeria. Can such a thing happen?
Yes, now,
Okay.
like that one now, one of the organizers, he got away. I don't know how he escaped it, but the influencers that promoted it, people sued them,
I see.
and some of them had to offer like public apology and all that to try to salvage the situation
Okay,
and all.
at least for their
But
reputation.
yeah, I've not seen it too. It's just like the case of a lady that sells human hair online, that the mom is an actress, and some of the mom's followers said they patronized her because the mom promoted her on her page.
I see.
And now the lady is owing people millions.
Wow.
They buy from her, she does not deliver. When they keep asking, she blocks them. Now the mother is dissociating herself
From
the daughter, saying, I'm not the one running the business. But there were actually people that patronized her because you endorsed her.
So what we are saying now is, you as an influencer, you endorse a product, you have some responsibility.
Yes, you
to
do.
also check that what you are actually trying to say this product can do, the product can actually do it. Okay, so false claims in advertising, embezzlement. We have seen that in that government official. So please, Oga in that ministry, please desist from all those things you are doing. And of course, the FCC, you need to enlighten people to know that whatever embezzlement funds that is meant to build hospitals or healthcare centers, if they are diverted to people's private pocket, at the end, everybody will suffer from it. Okay, damage caused to environment due to negligence. We have so many companies operating today in Lagos. In fact, there was one funny story somebody told us that if you go somewhere along, is it Lupeju Industrial Estate, that when he was growing up as a child, they can enter inside that gutter, and when they come back, they will still look clean. But now, if you enter inside those gutters there, by the time you come out, you are completely black, because those companies operating there, they discharge a lot of fuel waste into that environment, and they cause damage there. Of course, we have also seen people mining gold, diamond in certain places, and of course lead, and it leads to the death of children. So all these are corporate crime. Of course, we can also take that to the Niger Delta, where oil flaring, oil spillage is a problem there and all that. Okay, so how did they get away with it? Corporate crime is particularly difficult to spot and stop for many reasons. Unlike street crime, corporate crime is very private action, occurring in a home or office where there aren't usually witnesses. But the workers are witnesses.
The workers may not directly witness. They may just be there.
Okay, of course they will tell you, is it not where you are collecting your salary? You want to go
They work in the job.
No, but they should understand that if it is not their family members, other persons can also be affected by the activities of those companies trying to damage the environment. Many of the crimes involve high-level comprehension of finances, the stock markets, trading, and professionals, the stock market trading and other specialized subjects which most investigators and law professionals don't fully understand. So you can see that is why I'm taking my time here. I am a stockbroker. I'm also a financial therapist. Also understand trading very well. So that's why we need to collaborate. And I'm so happy that the law enforcement, EFCC, is collaborating with the regulators. You also need to have operators, of course, collaborating so that these so-called people who commit corporate crime, they will not fool us. Yeah. Even if a white-collar criminal is caught, it can be difficult to prove whether or not they committed the accused crime knowingly, menacingly, or recklessly, or if it was simply a side effect of the person's position. But it is simply difficult to apply criminal laws. Yes, and that is why I'm taking my time to go through this financial crime. You can't apply those techniques you use in criminal law to come and talk about financial crime. To apply criminal law principles to corporate crime. And big corporations which do not get called into court often have the funds to defend themselves in a way most people cannot. So you can see that the way and manner, the investigative process, they are quite different. And that's why I'm saying, if you are an investigator and you're looking at financial crime, most of this corporate crime, you are not supposed to use the methodology you are using to deal with just ordinary criminals on the streets. No, it's a special area, and you need to have specialized knowledge about finance for you to understand it very well. So who are the corporate criminals? Let's look at Nigeria. Who are the corporate criminals that we can think of that has been jailed so that we don't allow anybody to sue us? There are so many corporate criminals that we have seen in Nigeria here. So many, you know. We even have some government officials. Okay, so corporate crimes are being committed on a large and small scales every day. So don't think it is only the big corporations. So while many white-collar criminals will not get caught in the last decade, the government and private citizens groups have rallied together to better protect Nigerian citizens from such criminals through legislation, punishment, and accountability. Here are some examples of corporate criminals from the past few decades. Okay, so we will stop here, because we will need to look at some of these corporate criminals that have occurred in the past. And thank God we have some civil society organizations that are really fighting this. You need to create awareness. Work with the agencies that are responsible for fighting this financial crime. Work with them and see how we can create that awareness. Because some workers, you'll be working in a firm and you don't know that what they are doing is criminal. And because you think every month they pay you your salary, what about the damage that is being done outside? Okay, so we'll stop here for today. And when next we are talking about investors' education, we will continue with corporate criminal. Thank you.
trendybeats.com.
Larry Gaga. Baby, don't move until I say you move. Baby, don't move. 'Cause me, I want